Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show! Welcome to Sunday Q&A. Hey, I was going to... So I've got these BT 3.0 to balance lead conversion jib jabs. And I was going to desolder this battery side BT 3.0 and then direct solder it onto these wacky batteries that I have. I'm just not going to do it, though. Is anybody desperate? I have a bunch of the BetaFPV 300 mAh 2S BT 3.0 batteries already. I don't need more. If anybody wants, make me an offer. The GNB 300 here, this will fit perfectly in the Mobula 7 V3 frame. The GNB 350 fits, but you got to push on it pretty hard. This one doesn't fit at all. This is a GNB 420 mAh battery. It's just like a fat little fat. So you would have to do something with this. But they've all got balance leads on them. And so where the balance lead is, you can just remove that and then solder the BT 3.0 directly on. Realistically, I'm not going to do it. It's going to sit here for a month or two, and then I'm going to say to hell with it. So yeah, somebody make me an offer. First person to make me an offer I can't refuse. 3 of these batteries and then 3 of these little conversion leads that have the battery side BT 3.0. Cool? If anybody has been dying waiting for the BT 3.0 300s from Tiny Whoop to come back in stock, this might be your way of having something. And then when they do come back in stock, you should get them to support Tiny Whoop, and because you know this is probably the exact same thing, to be honest. So you'll get one of these, but this 350, you'll see, like it's a little too tight. And then I don't know what you're gonna do with this 420. You could rubber band it or something like that, maybe. But yeah, to get you by, There you go. Bag of stuff. Get it out of here for me. Today, we are going to compare a bunch of different stuff, which I'm actually really excited about. BetaFPV sent me the Air65 Champion Edition a couple of months ago, and I reviewed it and did all that good stuff. Very recently, this has their version 2 motor, their 0702 version 2 30,000 kV. They just recently reached out to me and said, hey, do you have any interest in checking out our lower kV version 2 motors? I said, yeah, absolutely. They said, cool. And they sent me this. This is the Air65 Race with the 27,000 kV motors. Let me just double check. Yep, 27,000 kV motors. Same camera, same canopy, same frame, same AIO. And so that gives us a really cool opportunity to compare some stuff. First and foremost, 27,000 kV version 2 BetaFPV motors versus 30,000. I modified the Champion Edition a little bit by lightening it up. I took the ground plane off of the whip antenna. I did not do that on the Air65 Race, so we'll be able to test that in the process. Every time I fly this, you're going to get to see through the live stream what a regular whip antenna looks like in this house. We're going to make sure that everything is on 25 milliwatts, all that jazz. And then when I fly this one, you're going to get to see what the ultralight whip antenna without the ground plane looks like flying around the house. So that'll be super cool. What was the other thing that we were going to compare? There was something else. Was that it? Whip versus lightweight antenna, 27,000 versus 30,000. I guess that's it. Camera that's rotated properly versus camera that's not rotated properly, maybe? Now it looks like they're both somewhat level in the mounts. I do need to change the propellers on these two. Very obviously, this one is currently on the bi-blades, the HQ Ultralight bi-blades. This is on the old school 1.2 by 1.1 by 3 tri-blades. So we will change that. I think maybe... Well, there's another... Okay, so that's the third comparison that we're going to do. Oh! We can do 4 comparisons. So this is on the old school HQ YOLO props, the more pitchy 1.1 pitch. This is on the HQ bi-blades 1.2 by 1.2 by 2. I want to get these both under the same propeller. And so the third HQ ultralight propeller option is the 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. So we'll do that. We'll compare. That'll be the third and fourth comparison. Old school 1.2 by 1.1, and then I'll switch it to the 1.2 by 0.9s, and we'll be able to compare those two props. And then we'll compare the bi-blades, the 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 bi-blades, to the new 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 tri-blades. Hell yeah! Bunch of comparisons here today, yo. I'm going to go through, before we start flying, we're going to put these both into Betaflight. We're going to get the tunes as close as... No, well, it depends. It depends if these are both on the same gyro. If they're both on the same gyro, we will completely even up the tunes. Uriel says we need Excel. All of these comparisons are going to be subjective. It's going to be me telling you what I feel different between the propellers. It's going to be you watching the live stream and seeing where each one of the antennas does and doesn't break up. And then once we have them both on the same propeller, it's going to be me telling you about what one motor looks like versus the other one. Although I guess you will be able to compare runtimes once we have them both evened up. You'll be able to compare the runtime of the 27,000s versus the 30,000s. Which is kind of cool. But yeah, other than that, it's going to be all... it's not going to be like really spreadsheetable, if that makes sense. Or if that's even a word. In the chat, what's happening? Bad was first, Bird Person FPV was next, Douglas 6, Sam, Weber FPV, Danzilla the Terrible, Capital C, Spaceman Spiff, Flash FPV, Chuck P, Espander, James Thomas, Corsair, Raf FPV, Frank Nicholas, Free Lojo, Spaceman Spiff, Uriel Anonymous, BMF Spade, Atreides is in the house. Everyday with Bruno, FL Engineer. Is that Florida Engineer? Steve Sims, DeCabacow, James Thomas, Game Cinna. What's up, friends? Hey, also, an amazing member of our community, OG member of our little family here, Off-Axis FPV, is he's got a GoFundMe up. Super cool dude. He's like our go-to for long-range stuff. He's dealing with some medical stuff, and so I'm gonna drop the GoFundMe into the chat right now. Click through, donate a couple of bucks, and help one of our people. He's dealing with some health related stuff, and yeah, that shit's hard. He is a creative like myself, actor, pipe fitter. I think he's even maybe done some gaffer work. Don't quote me on that. Typically, when you're on set as an actor or as a gaffer or as anything, you end up doing a little bit of a little bit of everything. And so yeah, it's you know, it's tough to do stuff like that. You don't get the security of working in sales or working in project management or stuff like that. You know, my path in life has smacked me in the face with that reality a bunch of times here. And so let's help a brother out. And yeah, we help each other out, yo. So click through and help Off-Axis out. He's a great guy. Great guy. It's been around for a long time. And has been super helpful in the community, super generous towards me, supporting me so that I can keep doing this. And so, yeah, if you were going to do a super chat for me, send it his way. All right. Where are we at in chat? Hey, I did a, hold, let me try this again. So YouTube sent me an email and said, hey, there's a super chat goal thing. How about this? I want to try this out. I did it last stream, but I completely forgot that I did it. I'm going to do this super chat goal thing. Whatever the super chat goals, whatever happens with the super chat goals, I will send that to Off-Axis. Let's do a tiny little super chat goal. We'll do 5 super chat goal, all the colors, set a timer, 30 minutes, share how you'll celebrate. I'll do another GoFundMe donation to Off-Axis FPV. There we go. Start goal. So there, I just did a super chat goal. What's that look like? What? Share with your audience to get them excited. Oh, it just went away. There was a button that I could click. Wait, there's a button up here. Oh shit, Atreides with a $10 super chat. All right, so what's that look like? So it comes up here normally. It didn't go into. It doesn't look like it went into the goal though. Here, look what this is what I see. So I've got this little thing here, and then it says goal ends in blah blah blah. Learn more, remove goal. No. Start another goal. No, I don't want to do that. Apparently, this is like a new thing that they're doing. Is there anything in here? Shopping? What the hell is that? Tag products? Nah. Stream settings, analytics. Well, this is weird. How do you? Can you guys even see it? There was a little tiny pop-up a second ago, but it just said learn more. Hold on, let me hit this learn more thing. Learn more. Oh, for Christ's sakes. How can anybody see the goal? Oh, YouTube, you are something else, man. Can you guys see it? Atreides with a $10 super chat. He says, let's get it started. Great to help a bro out. So that's going to Off-Axis for sure, even though it doesn't look like it went into the goal. That's super weird. How the hell? So you set up a goal, and then I'm the only one that can see it? No, notice says there's a link in the chat. Ah, very cool. Okay. So there's a... Man, it would be nice if it showed me the link. Oh, well, so I put the GoFundMe link into the chat. I just manually copied and pasted. Bad just did a there it is. Bad got it. Bad figured it out. What did you do, Bad? See, now there's... now it says 1 out of 5. What did you do, Bad? I don't see a link in the chat or anything. I only see my original GoFundMe link. When I did the goal thing, did it put a link in the chat for you guys? Is that what you're saying? No. Here we go again. Here we go. There it is. Frank Nicholas hooking us all up. Those that want to contribute must click the bullseye link in the chat. So you guys have a... Oh, do you guys have this? Oh, you guys have this up here, don't you? Wow, YouTube. Could you make it a little bit less obvious? Is that really it? Wow, that's really it. That's the only indication of it. That's really stupid. Well, apparently it is. They are just like rolling it out. Yeah, that's like nothing. Nobody's ever gonna know. No wonder why nobody did it last live stream, because A, I didn't tell you about it, but B, it's like obnoxiously small. Can I go to my own live stream? What happens when I go to my own live stream? Does it just implode? Oh no, this is bad. Oh no, this is bad. So yeah, there it is. So yeah, there it is. And there's zero indication whatsoever, other than that little tiny glip glop. Hopefully they fix that. Look at this. This is... I like this. Now we're talking. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I've never done that before. I didn't even realize I could do it. Thank you guys. Very cool of you to help me figure that thing out. What happens when it gets to 5? It's at 4 or 5. Bad with £2. Kevin J, just another Kevin FPV with a $5 super chat. Freelojo with 5. Kevin J with 5. Kevin J with another 5. 10 total. And then a tradie says, "Dang it, YouTube, get it together. What happens at 5?" What did anything happen? I don't think anything happened. Atreides, super generous. Kevin J, super generous. Freelojo, super generous. Bad, super generous. Thank you, friends. So, hold on. Let me do some math. 10, 20, 30, and then we're going to call it 40. So I'm going to send... Oh, look at that! Bad just sent me a thing, put a thing on our Discord. Goal achieved. Thanks to the participants. CiottiFPV just achieved the goal. Very cool. Where did that pop up in the chat, I guess? Okay. So that is super underwhelming. I probably won't do those goals anymore because like it's impossible for you guys to even see. But hold on. Let me go here, and let me actually do it on my phone. Peter Savis with 100 CZKs. He says, "Keep crashing." Thank you, brother. I will always keep crashing. I have glip glop on my. Well, no, hold on. I haven't done. What? I did GoFundMe on my phone, and it linked into Apple Pay, which was pretty cool. What's it going to do on the computer? It's going to force me to put a credit card number in. That's obnoxious. So I'm going to do it on my phone. Thanks again, guys. Very, very cool of you. And I don't remember what I just said. 10, 20, 30, 40. Donate now. And we're going to do 40. And all right, Apple Pay. There it is. Total due today, $40. Here, I won't change the focus, but there it is, 40. See it? And donate with Apple Pay. Pay with passcode. Can't show you this because it has the last 4 of my credit card number on it. There we go, done. Hey. Thanks, friends. Very, very cool of you. I don't see Alfaxis in the chat. I think he might actually be live streaming right now. Go say hi. If you watch this on replay, Alfaxis, keep going, brother. Smash through. Yeah, we're here with you together. Big group effort to help everybody out that needs help. You know, you guys help me quite a bit. It's always nice to give back. I give back as much as I can. I don't have a lot of money to give back, but I have time, so I try to donate time and effort and whenever I can. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. Weber FPV said, "What's up, CiottiFPV?" and the Gangly Gang. When you guys do that, when you type someone's name into the chat, it lights up in orange like this. So like if you're typing a message in chat, and like in your message, you're like, if like in your chat message, you're like, you know, if you're talking to Atreides and you're like, hey, hi Atreides, for Atreides, when you type his name, it's going to light up an orange for him. But then if you said like, yo, what's up Atreides, I would prefer to remain anon, amiss, but like you accidentally misspell it, you know, just like Anonymous's name is spelled, then it's kind of annoying for Anonymous, because like his name will light up an orange and he'll be like, oh, somebody's talking to me, and he'll get all excited. But then he'll see that you just spelled you know, Anonymous wrong, and you just happen to spell it like exactly the way his name is spelled with a space in between. And then, you know, that could get annoying, you know, for the people whose like names are regular words. So, you know, be careful. Make sure that you don't do that. That would, you know, that could annoy some people in our community. Am I making myself clear enough? That that you guys need to work really hard to figure out how you can accidentally use each other's names in your chat comments? We started with Notice. We started doing this with Notice. I called that on a live stream, and you guys, of course, started doing it. We've been doing it to Notice for a couple weeks, I guess, now. And, like, you know, it's not even difficult anymore. And so, let's keep going with it, you know? Let's push it. First it was Notice, and then the other day we were doing it with... Oh, who were we doing it with the other day? It wasn't very hard to do it with this person the other day. But yeah, there are people in chat with names that can be used in chat comments accidentally, and I expect for you all to be. I expect for you to be obnoxious but loving at the same time. Get to work, friends. get to work. Start fucking with each other. This is basically what I'm saying here. Shit. Turn them against each other. See what happens. Espander says, hey, Gangly Gang, hi, CiottiFPV. BMF Spade says, those are the wrong side. I already made that mistake. Really? Will it not work? I thought we looked at it. The, left, right, and middle. Tell us more, BMF Spade. Florida Engineer says, yeah, I was going to do the same thing, but wrong side. Have to order the female plug separately. Oh, right. Oh, son of a bitch. The wrong side of the BT 3.0. Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yep. All right. So these don't these don't come with the kit. Well, you guys are gonna have to order the you guys are gonna have to order the leads anyway. These 3 batteries are available. If you want them, great. If not, I totally get it. Yeah, this is the wrong side. I just assumed. You could have them anyway. No. I should hold on to these. Because at some point I will need these to do a non-90-degree BT 3.0 battery lead. So yeah, I'm gonna keep these. But yeah, you guys are more than welcome to buy these 3 batteries from me. 300 mAh, 350 mAh, 420 mAh. They're all yours. Steve Sims says, is 22 gauge balance lead big enough for main power? Yeah, the leads that the pretty much all of the battery leads are 22 gauge. Either 20 or 22 gauge. And then on these little adapters, these little adapters are 20 gauge. Yeah, so 20 gauge, 22 gauge. Look, if wires start to get hot, then it's time to bump them up. I've never noticed battery lead wires getting even remotely hot. So yeah, 20 gauge, 22 gauge, totally fine. The Cabacow says, I recently put one of these G-string canopies on my drone because everyone is using them now, but the AIO seems way too exposed. Did you ever break an AIO in a crash with one of these? I have stayed away from, I prefer to refer to them as banana hammock canopies because I'm 8 years old. I have not used the banana hammock canopies much because of exactly that, and because people have said that they allow, on hard inverted crashes, the camera gets pushed down into the AIO and blows up the AIO. The only reason I'm using banana hammock canopies right now is that these BetaFPV ones are really strong. The plastic is really, really stiff, and so there is just no chance of the camera contacting the AIO. The problem that I have with them, as I've been talking about recently, is that they don't locate the camera in a way that it's straight, and so the camera can rotate, which is a big problem. And so I'm not sold on these banana hammock canopies at all, but they are the lightest way to hold the BetaFPV CO3 camera, which is arguably the best of the super lightweight tiny whoop cameras. And so I'm slumming it with the banana hammock at the moment. It's not that bad, but I don't think I'm going to use it long term. We'll see. But yeah, I don't like banana hammocks. But if I have to sit in one, if I have to wear one, I will, I guess. So yeah, I don't recommend that you guys do it. If you do decide to wear a banana hammock, don't come near me. I don't want to see you in that shit. You're gross, bro. Don't. If you're gonna use a banana hammock other than the BetaFPV one that's nice and strong, make sure you put a piece of foam between your camera and the AIO. At the very least, put a piece of VHB. VHB is foam in between the adhesive layers, right? And so at the very least, get some VHB in there so that you don't blow up your AIO. Ain't nobody got time for that. What's happening here? Get in there. There we go. Cool. Makes sense. I found that one missing prop. Aren't you guys excited? Steve Sims tagged me but didn't say anything. James Thomas. Oh, I think he might have been referencing his previous comment, or maybe he dropped. If you guys put a link into the chat, it just deletes it. I don't even get to see it. James Thomas says, you must have missed my comment last stream. Oh, dude, I missed lots of comments last stream. My comment last stream for camera twist, I put one wrap of plain old double-sided tape around the lens and clamp it down. Been holding for 2 weeks and a bunch of crashes. That'll totally work, although, boy, I have a hard time getting these cameras into this canopy. My solution for the camera not twisting in the banana hammock is just a tiny little dot of E6000, which I keep forgetting to do. Yeah, like, all you would have to do, as big of a deal as I make about this, it's really not all that hard to fix. Just put a tiny little dot of E6000 right at the end of my fingertip between the lens and the camera body. The twisting force being put on this camera is not huge, and so any amount of glue in between the camera and the canopy will keep it from twisting. E6000 is what we all have floating around. It's super clean to peel off. It peels off with your fingernails in one big blob. So yeah, fixing that about these banana hammock canopies is really no big deal. Either side, just a little dab of E6000 there. You could technically put it like in here somewhere, but then it's going to be harder to get out. So yeah, I would suggest just putting it on one side or the other. Yeah, like right there, right in that joint. And that way, you know, it's just like, I don't know what to say. There's nothing else I need to say about that. Florida Engineer says, yep, FLE was Florida. Scott Stevens says, are there any Betaflight differences to set for the different KV? Sometimes higher KV motors will give you quicker response time, and so you sometimes will need to back the PIDs off a little bit. But it depends. It depends on how much higher you're going in the KV. If you're going from like a 20,000 kV motor to a 40,000 kV motor, if you had the 20,000 kV motor tune like cranked way the hell up, yeah, you're gonna have to back that. You're gonna have to chill the tune out a little bit. But if you're going from like 30,000 to 32,000 kV, you're probably not gonna need to change anything. Bad says, how do you deal with nerves at a gig? I've been asked to fly at my brother-in-law's wedding for 6 months, not for 6 months. Nothing big, just some flyovers, but he's a police drone pilot, so best not crash, LOL. I was raised, so at like 9 years old or something, my parents put me into private drum lessons with an incredible jazz drummer named Tony DiNicola up in New Jersey. And so my entire life, and so I got good. I started playing in school, concert band, jazz bands, all the marching band, all the things, right? And so my formative years were spent performing, in front of people. I also played sports, which is it's kind of a performance in front of people, but not so much, but still. And so, like, my formative years were luckily enough spent in that world of needing to perform, right? That's like a stressful world. I'm sure that, and I'm sure that there's some genetic or chemical reasons, but like I also have like anxiety and depression, mainly having generalized anxiety disorder. You're always anxious, and so you develop a lot of coping mechanisms to deal with the anxiety. You could argue that helps. You could also argue that it hurts. It's interesting. Like, and I think it's like, I think it's kind of a wash. Like, if I'm having a day that my brain is not just like freaking the fuck out, then like, so if a normal person's window of how much stress, anxiety that they can deal with is here, right? Normal people, like, some days they'll be here, some days they'll be up here, right? But this is their window. if they go over, let's do it on this side. If they go over that window, this is the most stress they can possibly handle. If they go over this window, they shut down. They have a panic attack. They have an anxiety attack. Something bad happens, right? Can't go beyond this side. A really good day, they're not anxious at all. They're all the way down here. Actually, so if this is the low end, a normal person is down here because this is like no stress, no anxiety whatsoever. Someone with generalized anxiety disorder over the years, because they learn to cope with the anxiety, this doesn't change. If they're having a good day with no anxiety, but they never go down here, unfortunately, this changes. Their capacity for stress and anxiety is higher, just because they've spent the major part of their life dealing with it, right? Every day they're dealing with it. When there's a weird noise, they... right? Like it's a chemical imbalance, it's a disease, etc. So like if they're having a day that they're all the way down here, which they pretty much never do, then their capacity is humongous. But that doesn't really happen. If a normal person's really good day is down here, somebody with generalized anxiety disorder, their best day ever is like here. And so this range of what they can handle is actually kind of the same, but it's just sort of shifted, if that makes sense. So like if somehow I wake up and I'm all the way down here, I can deal with all the stress in the world, right? Like I'll fly 6 inches away from anybody and be totally chill. But that's not real. Like my best day ever, it's going to be here, and then my capacity is all the way up here, so I'm good to go. If I wake up tomorrow with the way that the world's going right now, when I wake up in 2025, I'm like here, just from everything that's going on. So I have a little bit of capacity here. Some days I wake up here and I have zero capacity. Hopefully the day of a gig, a stressful gig, I'm going to wake up here or here or here or here, right? If I wake up the day for a gig here, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be just as tough if I wake up here as a normie without brain problems that wakes up here, right? It's all about like this, how much space you've got left, how much capacity you have left. And yes, living with an anxiety disorder makes you better able to, you develop more practices for dealing with it, but your capacity for dealing with stress it depends on what's going on in your life. So I guess the most helpful possible answer I could give you, this is interesting because I've never thought all the way through this. I've always just sort of white-knuckled it and kind of been okay. But the much better answer is that days leading up to that gig, and this just comes from me learning a lot about anxiety and depression, going through many, 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 many years of talk therapy and just, being in this world to figure out how to function on Earth with this brain. The best answer I can give is, and the really good answer, I think, is that days leading up to the event, you need to, if this is your max level, you need to figure out how to wake up the day of the event down here so that you have this extra capacity to deal with stress. So days before the event, you want to do whatever you need to do to get yourself chilled out. Work really hard to get like lots of stuff done in advance around the house or with your day job or whatever, right? Like all the things that you need to do so that like, ideally, what I would try to do is like the day before the event, I would try to just like chill all fucking day and just like do things that I love. That is proper self-care, right? Self-care for men is not necessarily like going to the spa or getting a foot massage, right? It's like doing, if you enjoy those things, awesome, that's self-care. But a lot of times for men, self-care is actually like playing a video game that doesn't make you want to smash everything in sight. That's important, right? There are video games that are not self-care at all. yeah, you got to find the things that you love to do that aren't super stressful, and you need to be mindful of that stress. Most people are not mindful at all about their stress level. FPV is super interesting. Yes, it's very fun, but it can be very stressful, and so you got to make sure all of your gear is like locked the fuck down, and don't do that one day before. Do that a few days before, so that if something is not ready to go, you have time to get it ready to go, right? That's a thing that's going to bring that stress level down. So that's what it's going to be all about. It sounds like you've got some time, so start thinking about that. Start trying to feel your stress level. Be mindful, be thoughtful about stress in your life. The things that stress you out and the things that don't. Make a list, write it down, use notes on your phone, whatever you have to do, dry erase board. This is a really good life skill to have for all of us, just forever. And so, yeah, there you go. That's the best answer that to a question like that I think I've ever given. Uriel says, "You're too good." What do you mean? Craig says, "Your live streams have been excellent recently. Thank you. Makes learning tiny whoops a real blast." What do you mean they were shit before? The hell, man. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, dude. That's the way my brain used to work, actually. That is a depression brain thing. Not specifically depression brain, but depression will cause that sort of thinking, right? Somebody says something nice, but depression brain has this incredible way of completely ignoring the nice part and focusing on the non-existent, right? Craig did not say your live streams used to be shit. Depression brain makes that up. And that's where the focus goes. Sound familiar? If that sounds familiar, and you've not been diagnosed with depression, and you have health insurance, go talk to a talk therapist. It will improve your life. I can almost promise you. It's okay. There's lots of us with it. Lots and lots and lots and lots. That's a real thing. And you can live a better life not doing that, right? Did you see me catch it? At some point, I won't need to catch it like that. Like right now, it happens and I joke about it. Partially, that's like me wanting to talk to you guys about this shit. Partially, it's me trying to make people laugh. But it's still there. If I keep when I will keep going on this journey of learning my brain, and there will be a day that I don't joke about that because it won't even happen. My brain won't even go there at all. That's the healing. That shit takes a long time, but it's worth it. It's worth it to go down that road. Thank you, Craig. Atreides with a $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, "Let's get it started. Great to help out, bro." I guess I already covered these. Drones in FPV says, "I'm here sick with stomach virus, so I won't be active in the chat. LOL." Drones in is watching this from the toilet. Does that make you feel dirty? Thanks again, Bad, for the super chat. Frank Nicholas says, "Those that want to contribute must click the bullseye link in the chat." Kevin J, thank you again for the super chat. Free Lojo, thank you. Kevin J, thanks again. Craig says at the top of, we got that. Yep, top left. Frank says, Atreides, thank you for the second one. Denzel the Terrible Set. YouTube just did the thing and scrolled me to the bottom. There we go. Atreides, thanks for the second. Peter Savis, thanks for the 100 CZKs. He says, keep crashing. I will. Denzel the Terrible says, I remember doing that with a handy cam connected to and pointing at a TV in the 80s. Video feedback. The best... Come on, Canon. Can you not... Coming back up in a second. Boy, will it be nice when Canon fixes this software. Come on. Don't make me turn it off and on again. There we go. All right, cool. Christopher Blackledge says, what's up, CiottiFPV and fellow flyboys? Hope all is a-okay. Little love from Oklahoma. I've finally tried 2S, and wow, it's a Mobula 8. Feels like a different type of flying. Yeah, 2S is the way, man. 2S is the way. Whoopi says, if I have multiple drones, should I set up a separate model profile on my controller for each drone when I bind them? That is actually a really good question. I used to, and the correct answer is yes, because in EdgeTX or OpenTX, you can set up a timer, and the timer will beep when it zeroes out. Back in the old... Really? Wow. Jesus. Anybody that's new around here, Canon forces you to use their terrible EOS webcam utility software when you use any of their DSLRs on a computer. Oh, and there's YouTube actually crashing as well. Interesting that those two things happen on top of one another. Swear to God, they're related. When the new Mac OS came out, Canon really phoned in the their update to this EOS webcam utility software, and this is the result. It crashes all the time. YouTube has also really shitted up their live streaming. I don't know, whatever, but their YouTube crashes all the time now during live streams. So, and those two things they're somehow related. It's very weird. All right. Okay, so unfortunately I just lost a ton of the chat. So every message before 326 is now gone because I don't know. YouTube has changed something with their YouTube Studio and their live streaming, and it's super unstable now. Render says, I don't know how it's feasible. I don't know how feasible it'd be, but maybe... Oh. So the question that Whoopi asks is actually a really good one. Back in the olden days, before OSD, knowing when your battery was dead was a real challenge. And so we would set up a timer on here. Now that we have OSD, it's not as important, but it's an audible timer. It beeps. And so if you're really focused and you're really in it, it's super nice to have that audible timer. So the correct answer is yes. You should set up an individual model on your transmitter for each and every build, and then you should use the timer, and you should set the timer to throttle. I haven't used one in forever, so I don't do this, for the record. I became lazy with it once we got OSD. I became kind of lazy with it. All right, so timer 1. You're going to set your timer 1 to throttle percentage, and then you're going to set the time. This one is 1 minute. When the throttle is full, it's going to go at full speed. 1 = 1 second. When the throttle is 50%, for example, 1 second is actually going to be 2 seconds on that timer. The reason why you want that is because at half throttle, your battery runs twice as long. At full throttle, it runs half as long, right? And so this throttle percentage-based timer is actually really, really good. And once you're going to have to dial in that amount of time. So you're going to have to try 1 minute, 1 minute and 10, 1 minute and 5, 59 seconds, 58 seconds. But once you get that timer set properly, it's really, really nice. And your transmitter will beep. You can put whatever noise you want on there, but your transmitter will beep at the end of that timer, and that is an audible cue for you to look at your OSD. Or if you're using no OSD, then that's your cue to kick the OSD on and take a look at what the battery voltage is, or just come home. It's really, really nice. I wish that I didn't have so many different setups that it becomes totally unrealistic to do that, right? I would have to have like 30 different models on there. And it would be really annoying to sit there and scroll through each model to find the right one every single time. And then I would change the propellers and it would be wrong. Anyway, so yeah, if you just have a few quads, using the throttle percentage based timer on the transmitter is awesome. It is really cool to get an audible. You can also do things like setting up the telemetry in there to put an alarm when because the battery voltage does get sent to the transmitter if you have things set up properly. And so you can have it do an audible alarm when the voltage drops to 3.5. But that little percentage timer thing is super easy to set up. And so, yeah. If you're not going to do that, then there's really no reason. You're going to have one model for ELRS, maybe have another model for Crossfire, and then that's it. What I have is one model for external module, one model for FR Sky internal module, and a third model for SIM. And the SIM model turns off the internal. It doesn't put power to the external so that this battery lasts as long as possible. So those are the three models that I have, but that's because I have 7,000 different builds floating around, right, from all the testing that I do. So my situation is different than most. Great question, Whoopi. Render says, I don't know how feasible it'd be, but maybe a good idea for the Etsy store for beginners would be one set of each 31mm props and another of one set of each 40mm props as like a starter kit. So I actually did that with the giveaways, the monthly first Monday of every month giveaways. Like the last 6 months of 2024, I had bags in every single one of those Tiny Whoop giveaways with 1 or 2 sets of all the GemFan props. On my sponsor, at some point like early 2024, for my sponsor box of props from GemFan, I went through and I just said, 20 sets of these. I just went through every single different prop type. I didn't think about that for the Etsy store. That's a really good idea. The problem is, I probably can't, but I wouldn't feel, even if there's no, I don't think I signed anything saying that I won't sell the sponsor props, but I wouldn't feel right doing it. It's like that's not cool. That's not what those sponsor props are for. And so I would have to buy all of these propellers and then sell them, and so it would end up being kind of expensive. At this point, like, there really are only 5 different. Yeah, I wonder. I really like that idea. I don't have a way of getting the propellers cheaper though. Like I can't order enough of them to get any kind of a bulk discount. So I would have to like pay the normal prices and then tack $15-$20 onto it, which would be like kind of expensive. I guess the value of it would be that you don't have to order. You guys wouldn't have to order from 2 or 3 different stores to get each one of those props. There aren't many stores that have them all in. It's a really good idea. I'm gonna see what that would cost for me to do it. Chuck P says at render CiottiFPV would love that. Paulie Shortcut says, what if the battery is hot? If the battery is hot, the leads have nothing to do with it. When the battery is hot, just in general, when you fly a quad and it comes down and the battery is hot, if it's boiling hot, like really hot, like you touch it and you're like, yikes, you're asking too much of that battery. Your powertrain is too aggressive. Your PID loop is overactive. Those are the 2 main things that are going to cause that to happen. When I really truly bailed on 1S for 75mm rigs is when I realized that I'd finally found motors that made enough power, but the run times were like 1.5 minutes, and the batteries were ridiculously hot. that hurts the battery. When you heat a battery up that much, it damages the battery. And so your batteries don't last very long. You're getting shit run times anyway, and that's, you know, like, that's it. The end. That's where it really was like, okay, this is not the way. And so yeah, if your batteries are coming down like ripping hot, that's too much. That's no good. You need to drop the propeller down in aggressiveness. You need to go to a lower kV motor. You need to fly less hard. You need to reduce the all-up weight. There's a lot of ways that you can do that. But yeah, basically you need to fix your PID tune or your filtering so that you don't have an overactive PID tune. And so yeah, that could be caused by a number of different things. There are a bunch of different things that you can do to help with that. It is important to help with that if the batteries are like crazy hot. The batteries should be warm. They should have some heat in them. If your batteries come down cold, your drivetrain, you are leaving performance on the table. Your drivetrain, your all-up weight are not optimized. You want to have a little bit of heat in the batteries. What that means is that you're running the battery a little bit hard. If your battery comes down totally cool, you've probably got basically what amounts to like a long-range rig, where you're getting like 5, 6, 7, 8-minute run times. And like with tiny whoops, that just doesn't really make much sense. What are you going to long range to, like 2 blocks over instead of 1, right? And so like if you're doing long range stuff, okay, I get it. Or if all you care about is those longer run times, then yeah, your battery's going to come down cool. If you're trying to build a rig that performs well, if flight performance is a goal, then you want your batteries to be a little bit warm. You want to be working the battery, but warm is very different than blistering hot. And so yeah, blistering hot batteries are not going to last very long. And so you need to either be okay with the really short run times and replacing those batteries very frequently, or you need to change something. You need to back your powertrain down a little bit or fix the tune. Render says, I actually like the BetaFPV banana hammock, but yeah, they're not always straight. I found you can grab a soldering iron and soften the plastic with radiant heat to adjust it a little. That's pretty cool. I didn't think about doing that. I would usually just, when I needed to change the bend of the plastic on mine, I would just grab it with the fat part of these pliers down here and just give it a little twist. But I've actually stopped doing that. Yeah, I don't know. They're okay, I guess. Denzel the Terrible says, I feel like... says, I'd like to refer to mine as a budgie smuggler. Yikes. Pauly Shortcut says, I like my banana hammocks like my Whoop banana hammock. A nice... Oh, God. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Atreides says, have you seen the Tweech Whoop mount they make in CO3 by Magic Smoke on Printables? I have not. Let's see. Printables. Tweech. Tweech. That didn't find it. Let's search for CO3. Well, you know what? I'm curious enough to just look these all up. Click on all these, rather. So we've got an adapter for the Mobula 6 ball sack canopy, which is very cool, but the problem is one of the main reasons I prefer this canopy is that it works with the Runcam Nano 3, which is a really lightweight camera. Putting the CO3, all the other cameras other than the Runcam Nano 3 are kind of heavy, and so putting a kind of heavy camera into this kind of heavy canopy, you end up with like 18.5, almost 19 grams all up weight, which is too much. So I won't put a CO3 into a Mobula 6 canopy, unless I try to do the thing where you cut chunks out. Maybe someday I'll try to cut chunks out of the canopy to lighten it up a little bit. But yeah, then you've also got this extra piece of TPU in there as well, adding weight, right? So I probably won't go that route. If I'm going to use the Mobula 6 canopy, I'm going to use the RunCam Nano 3 to keep the weight down. This is a little McStinky style canopy. This is, in my opinion, this is the type of canopy that will allow the camera to slam into the AIO. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, if nothing else, the lowest up tilt is 30 degrees, which is like way too much. For me, I want like 15 degrees, 20 degrees. This is a pretty hardcore racing canopy. Nice and lightweight here, but this is almost certainly one of the canopy styles that's going to slam the camera into the AIO and potentially break one or the other. I like that this pushes the camera far forward, and maybe if you put a piece of foam under the camera, you could get away with this, but it's a little sketchy. I would kind of like to try it, though, because it is obviously going to be nice and lightweight. Once I start 3D printing, I will probably 3D print a couple of these and at least give it a shot. Actually, going to leave that tab opened. A much more minimal mount for the Mobula 6 canopy. Interesting. But again, CO3 camera plus this canopy is going to be very, very heavy. Here's the magic smoke. Okay. Yeah, so the same kind of thing, just the way that this is set up here, on an inverted collision, this camera, I feel like it's going to want to smack into the AIO. Again, a little piece of foam you'd probably be completely fine. This does look very lightweight. I'm interested. I'm going to leave this, well, I'm just going to download it. Screw it. Oh, what's the up tilt? What's the up tilt? 0.6 grams, very light. Added the Tweech edition. There we go. That's what Atreides was talking about. Weight savings in the front of the mount. What's the up tilt? Whatever. I'm just gonna download it anyway. All right, lowrider and Tweech. It looks like 30 degrees of up tilt, which is a bit too much for me. But whatever. I'll give it a shot. And then we've got this one, which is very similar to the look at that little up tilt gauge. That's pretty slick. This is very similar to the Newbie Drone race spec canopy. I do not recommend. This printed in TPU is going to be ultra wobbly and fragile, and like no, don't do this, in my opinion. So I don't care about that one. This one's kind of cool, though. I'm going to download this one as well. Multi-angle? Oh, look at that. There's versions of it for all different cameras, none of which are the CO3. Isn't it called? Pico, Flywoo. Flywoo, multi-angle V3. Oh, God. RunCam Nano 3. We definitely don't want that one. If I'm going to run the RunCam Nano 3, it's going to be in the Mobula 6 canopy. So I guess I kind of need to download all of these because I don't know which one is the right one. Pico, Flywoo. So I'll do that. I'll print one of each and we'll see what's what. All right. Cool. Look at me. Setting myself up for 3D printing insanity. James Thomas says, yeah, E6000 would work too. Albin Hawk says, can you put the old Mobula canopy on the Air65? Yes. I would have to solder up the specific BetaFPV camera plug, though, to one of the RunCam Nano 3 cameras, which, I don't know. I'm not really willing to do yet, but maybe someday. Probably not, to be honest. Ghastly FPV says, hey, I bought some 1102 22,000 kV motors thinking they were 2S. Could they potentially be usable? Yes. you're going to just motor limit the bejesus out of them. In the PIDs tab, do the motor limiting. Start at like 60%. Fly it. It'll probably not have enough power, and then bump it up to 65. Keep that as low as you possibly can. The only negative is when you motor limit that far down, the throttle has 1,000 steps. So when you move the throttle up slowly, it's not a diagonal line. There are tiny little steps, little stair steps. There are 1,000 stair steps. If you motor limit down to 50%, you now have 500 stair steps. So if you can move the throttle just enough, you might notice one of those stair steps. I doubt it, because like, imagine sitting here with your throttle, right? So normally we have 1,000. You can try this for all really. So bring your throttle all the way down and move it the tiniest little amount that you can. That's 1. And then move it the tiniest little, that's 2. Tiniest little, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See if you can do that 1,000 times before it gets to full throttle. You won't be able to. Now see if you can do it 500 times before you get to full throttle. You won't be able to. And so the stair stepping effect, like, yeah, it exists, but I highly doubt that your fingers are sensitive enough to move that throttle 500 times between 0 and full. And that's what you would get from 50% motor limiting. So yeah, you should be totally fine. But start low and be careful when you go into turtle mode and when you are in the motors tab of Betaflight. That motor limiting is not active. That motor limiting only applies to the throttle stick and to the PID loop. And so you got to be careful when you're turtle moding. Don't go full stick. You should never really be going full stick on turtle mode anyway. There's almost never a reason to do that. Turtle mode, you want to be gentle. The reason why people blow shit up on turtle mode is because they go all the way into the corners and they give full stank to that motor. And if the propeller is blocked, it generates tons of heat and blows up the motor or the ESC. You should never just bang full stick. I do it all the time around here because I'm impatient. But yeah, with the also, there's no leaves inside the house. There's really no chance that the motor is going to be blocked inside the house. So I can get away with it. If you're flying outside and there's a chance that that motor is blocked, you never want to go full. You just want to be gentle. And just like in general with turtle mode, just be gentle. It'll save you from blowing shit up. It'll also save your propellers, right? You go full and it smacks the propeller into the branch, leaves a big dent in it. If you'd just been gentle, it would just do this against the branch and you'd save your propeller. So there you go. Denzel the Terrible says that movie Whiplash is based on CiottiFPV. Polly Shortcut says have Bandcamp stories. Yeah, but I mean they're not the type of Bandcamp stories that Hollywood makes you think exist. The funniest Bandcamp story is like is like when you play bass drum, or you can kind of do it. You can do it with any drum that has a non-coated drum head. When the sun is just in the right spot, you tilt the. I used to do it on bass drum all the time because it's the sides are vertical. You tilt to the side when you're bored, and you catch the reflection off the sun, and you put it into people's eyeballs, and they go, what the fuck? That's like the funniest thing that happens in normal band camps outside of Hollywood. Uriel says his best advice is don't give a F, be more antisocial, like Yoda. A F I not give. That's one way. Stan Dealey, with one of my favorite YouTube names, says, relating hardcore, FPV has helped me. Anxiety, agoraphobia keeps me at home all the time since I was a teen. FPV makes me want to go out and have fun. It's like a difficult challenge with a reward, still working on it. It is a lifelong thing that you'll work on forever. Talk therapy is the biggest thing that has really helped me, and it is really like, if you talk to anybody that's been able to deal with it, and not anybody, but most people that are living good lives with it have been through quite a bit of talk therapy. It's the hardest, and it's it's the most expensive, right? The easiest way is just to take a pill. It's cheap and there's no work whatsoever. And for some people, the side effects of the medication are not horrendous. For a lot of people, they are. I'm one of those people. And so, yeah, talk therapy is one of the more difficult, one of the more expensive options, but it's the option that basically doesn't have side effects. And if the other options out there have side effects or risks involved, right? Like recently, there's been a lot of research around like ketamine therapy, all kinds of other psychedelics, and like, yeah, I mean, if they work, great. They're another cheap, if it's covered by health insurance, quick, no long-term effort needed solution, right? And like that's the dream. But if they go bad, they can ruin your life. Apparently my old best friend that bailed on me during the divorce of my ex-wife, he suffered with depression, and apparently he went through ketamine therapy and it like really fucked him up bad. And so it's like, if there's one thing that I've learned in life, it's that the quick, easy, simple solutions a lot of times have risks or side effects involved in them. And talk therapy is one of the ones that kind of doesn't. At what point did this come out of focus? And so, yeah, there's that. That's a little bit better. Healthy Gamer GG is one of the best resources that I've found that's completely free. Their coaching program is not free, but it's amazing. Healthy Gamer GG. Here on YouTube, on Twitch, on the internet, incredible resource, especially if you're a gamer. Yeah, check them out. I'm not going to tell you more about them. Just check them out. Life-changing stuff. I might not be alive without Healthy Gamer GG. Literally. Joe Presto says, hey, CiottiFPV, I sent you something on PayPal. Thank you, dude. $15 PayPal. Thank you so much, brother. Super generous. He says, hey, Ciotti, I've been watching your videos and joined some of your live streams, but being in the Netherlands, that doesn't always work. I've learned a great deal from you. Here's a token of my appreciation. Changed my rates based on your recent video, and it's made a huge difference. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Very, very cool. Love that you got something out of that rates video. I haven't talked about rates in forever. That was like a little lightning bolt that hit my brain. Glad that you're loving FPV and that I'm helping you out, man. Much appreciated. Why did they only charge? Oh, because it's Canadian. Oh, I didn't realize that it was in Canadian. So I donated $40. Here's a life hack for you. Your bank, your main credit card that you use, go into the settings and turn on email me every time I use the card. If someone steals your card, you'll get your email will get banged by it, by them like doing fraudulent things, right? Also, though, it reminds you how much money that you've spent. You go out and you go out to dinner, and then you go to the grocery store, and then like you buy yourself something, whatever. You get home, you're gonna have a bunch of emails waiting for you, and you're gonna have to go and delete those emails. And before you delete that email, in the subject line, it's gonna say you spent $49 at so and so. And so it's like a really good way to keep control of your spending. Because like, sometimes when we go out, we're just having fun and it's all good and you're at the bar or whatever. And so, yeah, a couple different anti-fraud. It's a big deal. But also it's a really good way of just keeping yourself in check. That email was sitting here. It said $28. I was like, what the hell is that about? I did 40. It's because it's 40 Canadian. So I need to undelete that message, and then I'll do the math, and I'll do another donation for the other 20 for the other $12. 28 is whatever. I'll do the math. Cronut says nice advice. Craig says therapy is excellent, and yes, they were shit before. LOL. Pasu FPV says, I'm planning to build a 2S 75mm DJI 04 Tiny Whoop. Any recommendations? Yes, my walk snail 75mm rig is exactly what you want. I have spent probably 100 hours R&D'ing the perfect 2S 75mm rig. Easiest thing to do is to come to my channel here, click this little magnifying glass that's hidden. This is on all YouTube channels. This will search just within that channel. I want you to search for Walk Snail 2S. And there's a whole bunch of live streams. Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper does live comments in all of these live streams with timestamps, so that you don't have to watch the entire 2-3 hour live stream every time. Just find Apache Smoke's comment. A lot of times I've taken his comment and I've dropped him in here. And so a lot of times the timestamps are broken out here, which makes it super easy. When they're broken out here, they're also down here. You can search this. Once you've opened each one of these videos up, you can do like a Control or Command F and search for Walk Snail, and then it'll bring you down to like the right. There's lots of ways to navigate my live streams very quickly to find all of the info that you're looking for. It doesn't take much work, especially if you're on a desktop. And yeah, lots and lots and lots of running different motors, different frames, talking about different AIOs, different cameras, canopies, not cameras, but canopies. And so, yeah, 2S 75mm walk snail rebuild. This would be a great one. 2S 75mm walk snail build is incredible. Another really good one. 75mm walk snail 1S versus 2S. This is a really important one. If you were thinking about 1S, I can just tell you, don't. Prepping the 2S 75. Here you go. Here's another one. Very recent one. Yeah, lots of good stuff in here for you. You can maybe watch them newest to oldest, because I try to, like, whenever I talk about the 2S walk snail rig, I try to give you a breakdown of the motors that I've tested, the frames that I've tested, my favorite setup. I need to, now that I have the goggles here, I can actually, yeah, shit, I can do it. I have everything I need to do this. Oh no, I still need the canopy. That's right. I knew I was waiting for something. I need a way of mounting the camera. But yeah, this is going to be the 2S04 setup. I'm going to move this over here to the front of the queue to remind myself. YouTube just did the thing, scrolling back up to try to find my place. Oh my god, I'm really far behind. All right, let me try to go through the chat as quick as I can. Eventually, I gotta find where I was. BMF Spade says, I had to talk to a therapist when I got a DUI in Georgia. Helped me a lot with the way I thought about things. Yeah, it will wake you the fuck up. Talk therapy is one of the things in life that will wake you up to the reality of what's going on, rather than what your mind, your brain, your whatever reality it has created. It is fantastic. And just learning how your brain works is incredibly important, because your brain plays all kinds of stupid tricks on you that make you unhappy a lot of times. And like, why be unhappy so much? There's just no reason. There's no reason. It doesn't have to be like that. Yes, you are going to be unhappy sometimes, but learning about how your brain works, you will learn how to be unhappy less of the time. Where's the downside? Right? There is none. Expander says, not timer, telemetry voltage alarm. We talked about that. Yeah, that's a way of doing it as well. I like the timer, though. I really do. I really like the timer. I used to. I haven't used it in forever. Limits20 says, do you think 2S65 would be a thing? Nope. The 65mm builds fly like total shit after you get like above 19, 20 grams. It's just too small. It falls out of the sky like a sack of hammers. And so, yeah, 65 should stay 1S. 2S battery, and also for a 2S battery to be light enough, it would have to be like 200 mAh, 150 mAh. When we look at like these 260 mAh batteries, the performance is way worse than the 300s. Luckily, they're a full gram lighter, so it's like interesting. But boy, when you get a LiPo cell below 450, really, any LiPo cell below 450, the performance really falls off a cliff. 300, these 300 folded cells, they're okay. If you compare it to a 450 though, there's a big difference. But like the 300s are like okay. 300 seems to be as small as you can go with a LiPo pouch to get half decent performance. And so yeah, and a 2S 300 mAh battery on a 65 millimeter rig is going to be brutal. It's just going to be so heavy. And so yeah, really 1S for 65 mil. That's just we have found the limits of performance. If there's anything that I've done over the last 2 years of live streams and all of the testing and everything else, if I had to sum it up in like one sentence, that sentence would probably be 1S for 65 millimeter, 2S for 75 millimeters. That is like the one massive lesson that's been learned with everything that I've done. And it, like, you can argue against it all you want. You're wrong. It's based on a whole bunch of different things. And if you find like a really wacky scenario, like maybe like long range 65 millimeter or something like that, yeah, okay, 2S might have some benefit, but like that's insane, right? Like that's not in general for 99% of people, right? That's what we're going for here. To give advice based on some insanely specific scenario, for those of you that live in the US, we know who's doing that a lot, and we don't want to be doing that. That doesn't help. That only helps the tiniest bit of the population, and that's not good. That is there's a lot of bad shit that comes from that, and so let's not do that. Lewis says, what's the smallest size that you can get that 5-inch magic? I want a micro that I can freestyle in big areas when I go to college. You can't. I mean, big areas are for big quads. Medium-sized areas are for medium-sized quads. Small areas are for small quads. It's physics. What you're asking there is, how can I change the laws of physics? And you just can't. There's just no way of doing it. Believe me, I've tried. So yeah, if you're flying a big spot, it's got to be a 5-inch rig. Nothing's gonna fly like a 5-inch rig in a big spot. If it's a smaller spot, or if you concentrate on a smaller area of the big spot, then like a 3-inch, 2.5-inch, 3.5-inch rig can be very fun. But here's how it basically breaks down. You've got drag, which is the size of the propellers. You've got the mass of the rig, and then you've got the amount of power that the rig makes. The drag and the size of the propellers control how much it throws horizontally and how much it floats vertically. Big ass 5-inch propellers have a good amount of float, and they have it really depends. It depends on the all-up weight. It's this three-way intersection of the all-up weight, the power, and the size of the propeller. And the reason why a 3-inch rig, a 3.5-inch rig will never fly like a 5-inch rig at a big spot is that a 3-inch, 3.5-inch rig, if you make it powerful enough. It's going to be too heavy for the size of the propellers, and it's going to fall out of the air like a sack of hammers. You're going to get a bunch of horizontal throw, but when you're off the throttle, it's just going to drop out of the sky. 5-inch rigs float out of the sky, float down at a nice, I don't know, at a nice rate. And there's that balance of like vertical float versus horizontal throw, which is controlled by the amount of power that it makes and the mass that it makes and the prop size, right? And this is the balance. When I talk about balance in FPV, this is what I'm talking about. Balance means what's the vertical float like, what's the horizontal throw like, and then like, can we get the flight characteristics where we need them? Can we get the response time down quick enough that the PID loop is like locked in, right? There's a lot of other facets, but the big thing is this ratio of the vertical float to the horizontal throw. And that's where like all this work that I've done is. You can't fake that. The propeller size controls how it's going to feel in the size of the spot that you're flying. The best performing tiny whoop in the world ain't gonna work on a football field, but it's gonna work really well inside the house, right? It's just laws of physics. And so, yeah, the size of the spot is what drives the size of the quad that you're gonna fly. You can make a 3-inch rig perfectly mimic the 5-inch flight experience, but not at the same size location. If you build a 3-inch rig to cover the amount of ground that you need to cover, like a 5-inch rig at a football field, it's going to be really powerful and really heavy, and when you're up in the air and you chop the throttle, it's going to fall to the ground like a stone. And that completely ruins the balance and the flight experience of that build. And so, yeah, right tool for the right job. Right tool for the right spot, I should say. NeoFlow says, any plans for the 04 1S? Yes, I have a BetaFPV Matrix AIO coming. It's going to be a RC drift car chasing rig. Crom adapted, Crom from our chat here, adapted the Batwing mount that Timmons made for the 04 light camera. But apparently none of the other AIOs have 5-volt BECs that are high enough amp rating to drive the 04. So I have to just wait for the BetaFPV Matrix new flight controller to come, and they're on Chinese New Year. So that will come. I will do the 2S maybe at the same time. I really need to get my ass in gear and get the 3D printer fired up, because I could do the 2S 04 build tomorrow if I got the 3D printer running, but in my old age, I've become weirdly afraid of new things, and especially like things that I'm not good at. And the 3D printer is weirdly like very intimidating to me. But I will wake up one of these days in a good mental place, ready for the challenge that is learning the slicer software and all that shit, and I will get that thing fired up and get it rolling and make some mounts for the 2S build. Omega Xenon says, Fatshark HD0 Plus with analog or HDO goggles. What do you think? I cannot recommend buying new analog goggles other than the HD0 goggles if you're going to run HD0. Buying the HD0 goggles to use them with analog is insane. It's almost $800. It's way too much, and nothing about it is good enough. If you plan to race, which is the one main area where HD0 makes sense, then it's a different story. But for freestyle, for anything other than hardcore racing, used Fatshark goggles like HD3s or HDOs or HDO2s are probably going to be the way to go. If you're going to use your analog DVR to do like flight edits and you want your analog DVR to look as good as possible, that's not the right way to go. At that point, you want to go for Sky Zone goggles that have the good DVR in them. Maybe a used set of Sky Zone goggles, but yeah, spending like $300, $400, $500 on analog goggles in 2025 seems kind of insane to me, unless you're in a very specific scenario. For just flying for fun, get yourself a used set of HD3s. You'll never know the difference with analog. Analog looks like ass no matter what. Having the fanciest goggles is going to make it look 0.1% less assy. So save your money. The money that you'll save buying used Fatsharks, you can put towards an entire extra rig, and you're going to get a lot more. You're going to have a lot more fun with a second rig than goggles that have OLED screens versus regular LED screens to display the worst quality video that we have available to us in FPV, which is analog. I actually think that analog looks better on the HD3s versus OLED screens. The blacks become like so black. I don't know. It's weird. Kyle Saunders says, props in on 65mm tiny whoops. What's the advantage over props out? I know you run props in, but I don't know why. In the old days of tiny whoop powertrains that didn't have much power, when you would roll and yaw at the same time, like this, like when you're doing an orbit or a really hard turn, the outside rear motor would have to do both the rolling and the yawing, and it would you would get to the point where you could turn it hard enough that that motor would run out of power and it would drop that motor, and it would like wobble and almost crash, and you'd sometimes catch it. Now that we have powertrains with enough power, that doesn't happen anymore. UAV Tech, Mark Spatz, did a test a while ago now with a Cinewhoop. One of the problems that Cinewhoops used to have is that you would come off the throttle and they wouldn't want to drop elevation. The PID loop would be like upset, and it would like kind of wobble, and it would not just cut the throttle and drop elevation. The fix, a huge part of the fix, you can tune around it to some extent, but the biggest fix was to go from props out to props in. There's something about props out on a Cinewhoop that creates a weird aerodynamic situation when you try to drop altitude. You would also see this when you would do dives. If you tried to do a dive with a Cinewhoop, when it was props out, it would pull away. Like you're diving the surface, like you're diving this surface, and it would just ramp up at 0 throttle and pull you out away from the surface. And so on Cinewhoops, props in, just in general, makes all the flight characteristics better. There's something weird going on aerodynamically. Tiny whoops also have a pretty weird aerodynamic situation. And so because of the fact that we're no longer dropping that rear motor out, I started switching my tiny whoops to props in hopes that that would give them better dive performance. I have not seen any negatives to running these things props in. I've also not necessarily seen any positives, but I have not taken them out to the same location and done like a big dive to see if it helps with that. Since it doesn't have any negatives, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I'm just leaving them all props in. It's probably not hurting dive performance. It might be helping dive performance, and that's a big thumbs up for me. I want these things to dive as cleanly and as vertically as possible. I'm just now realizing these two rigs that I want to test here, if I can ever get caught up on chat, this one still props out, and this one still props in. Unfortunately, these are on different KV motors, but that should not have any effect on the performance when you're doing a dive. If I remember, or if you guys bug me, after today's live stream, I will take these out somewhere and do some dive testing Again, it's not going to be a perfect test. Let me think about this for a second. The one of these that's on props in is on the higher KV motors. During a dive, so when you do a dive, you're zero throttle, and the only thing that's happening is that the PID loop is running. The rig that's on props in has quicker response time because the motors are more powerful, higher KV. And so quicker response time during a dive. So during a dive, you've got noisy air. You're up close to a vertical surface typically, and that makes the wind swirl. Swirling winds, when this thing comes through it, are going to make it shake. When it shakes, the PID loop corrects that shake, so that your camera image is not doing this all the way down. The PID loop having quicker response time is going to allow it to fix those problems quicker. But the amount of thrust needed to fix those problems is the same, because you're diving the same thing. And so I think that it's a fair comparison. I don't think that it will affect the dive performance at all. It might affect, there will be an effect. What you might see is that the higher KV rig, which is props in, it might be cleaner on the way down, but that's not what we care about. What we care about is, does it stick to the vertical surface and dive straight down, or does it pull itself outwards? And so, yeah. The other way to test it is just to fly up really high. I could just do this in the front yard. Fly up above the trees and just chop the throttle. Let it sit like this and just watch it come down. And we can just watch the amps in the OSD over here. And if props in, what I think we're going to see happen is that the props in drops elevation with, I don't even need a building. I can nose it down and do that as well. If the aerodynamic situation is bad because of props out versus props in, it will pull forwards, and we will see the amp numbers skyrocket as it does this. I can test this in the front yard. Yep. I would like to test it next to a building, because next to a building you really get that swirling air that really activates the PID loop. But like a windy day, a day with a little bit of wind in the front yard, up above the trees, chop the throttle, let it fall flat, let it fall nose down. I think we'll be able to see the difference in the amps. I think. Levser says, Joe, everybody. Hey, dude. Ghastly FPV says, thank you. You're certainly welcome. Uriel says, medication disturbs you on long terms. Do ayahuasca. Yikes. BMF Spade says, the 5-inch props I won last month, I like a lot. The 7-inch props are pretty good also. A little loud, though. Thanks, bud. You're certainly welcome. Tag with a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. He says, since a horrible customer service experience with Emax, can you recommend a 2S04 75mm? I'm thinking the new Femto might be a good option. The BetaFPV Femto is a good option for like cinematic work, if that's what you're looking to do. It's not really for like freestyle or for bashing. It's a little early, and I don't know if anybody has a 2S04 75 yet. Yeah, it's a little early. What I think is your best bet is to custom build, because I've already done all the hard work for you to figure out the perfect props, motors, frame, all that good stuff. So somebody asked about 2S04 like 10 minutes ago, and I showed them how to search my channel for, search just my channel for Walksnail 2S. That's the formula. And yeah, I'll be doing that build at some point here. But yeah, if you're going to fly freestyle, the Femto is not a good option. That is a cinematic specific build. Craig, thank you for the support, my friend. Craig says, started saving all your live stream transcripts. There's Tiny Whoop Gold in them. Oh yeah, YouTube lets you do that, doesn't it? That's pretty slick. If you're already doing that, Craig, if you can figure out a way of doing that in like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet or something like that, if you can do that and then you can make that public, I would love to drop a link to that into a Patreon comment so that all the patrons can... That's a perfect example of like what you guys get when you join my Patreon. Everyone, like, I've got a bunch of Google Docs and Google Sheets with like weights of stuff and testing that I've done. Yeah, Craig, if you're already in the process of doing that, if you can figure something out that takes you like an extra 30 seconds to do that everybody can benefit from, that would be amazing. If it's a pain in the ass to do it, don't. Like, unless you want to, obviously. But like, you know what I'm saying? If there's a quick way for you to then make that shareable to everybody, that would be amazing. I'm sure lots of people would love that. And, you know, then it's just one person saving the transcripts rather than everybody doing it, you know, individually. The Ends of the Trouble says, I think people can still contribute over the goal. Oh, look at that. I didn't notice that. This is the goal that he's talking about. Goal achieved. Oh, wait, no, I guess we looked at that before. Yeah, what happens if you guys click on the little bullseye thing now? Danzilla says, nope, can't. Ignore me. Oh. Got it. Never mind. Mario B... YouTube just did the thing again. Scrolling back up. Where is it? Mary Bean says, do you have a Betaflight setup for 2S analog build using the X12 flight controller and 802 motors? I'm used to tuning with black box and PID toolbox, but the X12 doesn't have black box. Just use my standard tuning method. Run it dead stock, make sure it's cool, and then take the D-gain slider, move it up to 1.3, fly it, make sure it's okay, then go 1.5 and chase it with the P&I slider up to 1.2. The ratio of the D slider to the P&I slider of the D slider being 0.3 higher than the P&I slider, I really like that. You might not. That gives you a very cinematic, very smooth, very eat all the prop wash kind of feel. It's not a razor's edge racing kind of feel. But yeah, and then just keep creeping those up. Creep it up, fly it, make sure it's not making weird noises, doing anything weird, creep it up a little bit more. Eventually, you'll push them up so high that it starts to act really weird, and then just back them off, and there you go. That's how to tune without black box. Super straightforward. Every single rig is completely different. You know, I could certainly plug in my 2S 802 rig, but yours has different motors, different props probably. You've crashed yours a different amount than mine, so my tune is not really going to help you out. But yeah, tuning without black box is super simple. Just keep pushing stuff until it tells you that it's unhappy, right? You chop the throttle and the RPMs come down slowly. It just oscillates at random. You push it into a hard turn and it oscillates, right? Weirdness. Listen and look for that weirdness, and that's, you know, that's the indication that your PID tune is a little too aggressive. Mary Bean says, I can't find anything in the search. I'd just like a tune to work off of. Yeah, start stock. The stock tune nowadays is a beautiful starting point. Christopher Blackledge says, when it comes to whoops, how many cam connectors are there? Oh my god. Like I got an Ant Nano, but it doesn't fit BetaFPV or Happy Model 5-in-1 flight controllers, and I learned how to change the end things. So there's JST 0.8, there's JST 1.0, there's JST 1.25. But each one of these different camera manufacturers have decided to move the fucking pins around. So it's an exponential number of options. Kevin Sumner designed this really cool little 3D printed camera mount setup for us to do Tiny Whoop camera testing. The biggest nightmare for him that he told me, And he then bought all of these different tiny whoop cameras. The thing that took him the most time was going into every single one of these to figure out which pins were where and adapting them all to have the same plug. Total pain in the ass. Zero standardization when it comes to anything in the world of FPV, but with the tiny whoop cameras, it is super evident. So be careful, because you could blow the camera up if you've got the ground and voltage reversed, or if you send voltage into the video line, there's no telling, you could blow the camera up. So yeah, it's there's nothing you got to do it like one by one by one by one by one. Super annoying. Super annoying. What I like to do is direct solder the right cable at the camera. You can't always do that. Some of the cameras don't have pads that are accessible, but yeah, sometimes you can. It's a nightmare. Craig says, enjoyed metaphor, fall out of the sky like a sack of hammers. That's one of my favorites. Just Mo says, hey, CiottiFPV, how you doing? Miss tuning in. The time zones suck. Quick question, though. Is there a difference between different analog modules? Buying one for my HD0 goggles. For HD0 goggles, don't buy the Rapid Fire. The Rapid Fire is the best module for everything other than the HD0 goggles. There's something weird about the Rapid Fire on the HD0 goggles. It works, but it doesn't work as good as the TBS Fusion or the Speedy Bee. The Speedy Bee is the one that I would go with. It's the least expensive. It's the newest, and apparently it's phenomenal. If you don't want the yellow, then the TBS Fusion is an option. It comes with a black cover. But yeah, on everything other than HD0 goggles, Rapid Fire is absolutely the way to go. The hardware in the Rapid Fire is slightly better, slightly more sensitive than the TBS Fusion, and I'm not totally sure, but I think it's also more sensitive than the Speedy Bee. Rockcrawler says, Bambu Slicer makes it so easy to print. You'll see. It's just slice and print. That's what I like to hear. I got to download it first. Let me download it. What's it called? Bambu Slicer? Bambu Slicer. Software. Bambu Studio. Mac. That's the first step, yo. Unverified download blocked. Download the unverified file, you idiots. I don't need Bambu Handy. Actually, I think I already have it. Get your mind out of the gutter. Bambu Studio, Mac. Look, I'm even double clicking it. Look, look. Ready? Look. Hey! I did a thing. Ooh, I'll even put it in the bottom bar. That's the only possible way that I'll remember to use it. Let's put it here at the end of these other square icons. Look at that! One step closer. We'll get there. We'll get there. Look at that. Look, that's cool. Everything 3D printing to me is like insane. Expander says, slicers aren't hard. They're pretty simple and basic. Just start printing random small stuff. No shortage of cool, handy little prints. Greg Torres says, Mobula 8 2S or 65mm 1S DJI 04 Lite is my first whoop. Mainly want it for indoor, but probably going to fly it wherever I can. For indoor flying, it's a 65mm rig. For outdoor flying, it's a 75 or an 85. 75s, 85s indoors break the things that you own. 65mm rigs outdoor get pushed around a lot by the wind. I can't make the decision for you, but that's the best way to think about it. You're going to have both. If you want to fly outside, you're not going to love it with a 65mm rig. If you want to fly inside, the people that you live with are going to stab you for breaking everything that they own. So, yeah, decide, indoor or outdoor. What I will say is a 65mm 1S DJI 04 Lite build inside the house, the runtime's going to suck, the flight performance is going to suck. And so you're not going to be able to like really freestyle in the house. You're basically going to have a little tiny cinewhoop. And like that's fun for like 10 or 20 batteries, but then you want to do power loops, and then you want to do Matty flips, and then you want to do all the freestyle stuff. And so now you're talking about analog. And so like the 04 Lite system is, if you're going to use that in a freestyle setting, it's going to have to be a 75 millimeter 2S rig or an 85 millimeter 2S rig. I went down, if you want proof of that, search my channel for 1S Walksnail 65. We went down that rabbit hole with the Walksnail Lite on 65 millimeter 1S rig. So 65 Walksnail 1S. Here you go. This is probably the perfect live stream for you. Will a 65 millimeter Walksnail build rip? I used the most powerful motors. I made it as light as possible. I did everything that I possibly could. And the long and short of it is that two main things. The increase in latency with the digital systems inside the house, where things happen like infinitely fast, makes it a lot harder to fly accurate, hardcore freestyle inside. And two, by the time you get enough power, the runtime sucks. Sure, just run the battery for a minute and a half, land it on your lap, unplug it, put a new battery in. The problem with that is when you drain a battery in less than 2 minutes, you'll notice the battery comes off blazing hot. It hurts the batteries. And so you have to be willing to replace your batteries pretty frequently. Like, you're probably only going to get 20, 30, 40 cycles out of each battery before its performance really falls off a cliff. And so if you don't care about that, then yeah, have at it. I will say this. There is almost no benefit from a freestyle standpoint to having the 04. Freestyle is about the stuff that you can do, not the quality of the video while you're doing stuff. Really good quality video is for cinewhooping, it's for production work, it's for gig work, right? An analog 65 millimeter freestyle rig that I can do power loops and Matty flips inside the house. When you put that footage in front of somebody, they're like, oh shit, this guy rips. If you're then taking a rig with 04 where the video quality looks really great and you're struggling to do that stuff because it's an extra 8 grams heavier, you put that in front of somebody, they're not going to say, wow, that video quality looks great. They're going to say, wow, you suck as a pilot. Get me? So yeah, but if you want proof, I've been there. The Walksnail system is about 1 gram lighter, which is pretty much makes no difference. It is near as makes no difference. Kelvin Knudsen says, looks like I gotta confirm I'm props in on all my rigs. Thank you. You're certainly welcome. Uriel says, don't be scared to meet the gods, ayahuasca. Dronzen says, 04 75mm 2S coming as soon as my order gets here this week. Is somebody making one? I didn't realize that somebody's making a bind and fly like that yet. Mario Bean says, okay, thanks. What about filters? Stock filtering is pretty good. The BetaFPV Air65 race came with stock filters, and it was really, really good. Mary Bean says, could I check out your setup for the 2S analog using the X12 for the filter tuning? Filter tuning depends very specifically on what gyro is there. If it's a BMI 270 gyro, it's a completely different filtering setup from the ICM gyros. The ICM gyros, you can pretty much, I mean, both of them you can kind of leave stock filtering and it's pretty good. The first thing I would do with the filtering is grab the gyro filter slider. So fly it with dead stock filters, make sure everything's cool. Then take that gyro filter and push it all the way up. Fly it, make sure everything's good. Then take that D-term filter and go from 1.0 to 1.2. At that point, maybe stop. If you want to keep going a little bit farther, move it to 1.4. But yeah, other than that, maxing out that gyro slider and then taking that D-term slider from 1.0 to 1.2, those two things kill a massive chunk of the latency that you're going to be able to kill. When you keep pushing the tuning, you're taking much smaller chunks out. The other thing that you can do on a plastic frame build is take the RPM filter harmonics from 3 down to 1. That takes a nice chunk out as well. Other than that, there's no magic behind the filter tuning. RPM filtering works so well. The new dynamic filter works so well that like you can pretty much run stock filtering and you're 90% of the way there. So don't overthink the filtering. And you're going to get much better flight performance by having a little bit extra filtering, which will allow you to have add a little bit more PID. Not always, but yeah. Don't overthink it. Stock filtering will work really, really well. Just Mo says, also, if you're going to build a 1S analog tiny whoop, what AIO cam motor combo would you use? Or should I be lazy and buy a bind and fly? That's like a half an hour long conversation, to be honest. I've got loads of... If you watch a couple of my older live streams, at some point I'll have talked about it because it comes up a lot. The bind and flies nowadays are unbelievably good. The BetaFPV Air65 race is ridiculously good. The Happy Model Mobula 6 2024 is ridiculously good. If you want to buy a bind and fly and not upgrade it, BetaFPV Air65 race. If they come out with the Champion Edition again, get the Champion Edition. If you want the ability to upgrade in the future, Mobula 6 2024, the motors that it comes with are a little bit underpowered, but it's on motor plugs. So you can just buy a set of like 0702 Happy Model 32,000s, 32,500s, 40,000s, 36,000s, plug them in, screw them down, and away you go. That's the easy button right there. If you want to do a totally custom build, the Happy Model 2G4 AIO on Weebleed is the best AIO that I've ever run. Super durable. Yeah. Bunch of different options for you. My favorite frame is the Cockroach 65 V3. Favorite camera and canopy are the old school Mobula 6 canopy and the Runcam Nano 3, which is now discontinued, so you can't really do that. You got to figure out your own camera canopy solution. Batteries, you want 300 mAh folded cell BT 2.0. That's pretty much it. Props, buy them all and test them for yourself. They're cheap. Holy shit, it's 5 o'clock already, and I haven't done anything. Drones and FPV says, no, I'm building it. Sold off my Vision 40s to build an 04 2S 75. Very cool. Alban Hawk just retracted his message. You can repost that message. Okay, the things that I specifically made this stream about is comparing a bunch of stuff. We got to get these onto the same props, so let's compare propellers first. We're going to start on the lower KV. This is a BetaFPV Air 65 race. 0702 27,000 kV motors. At the moment, it's on the old school. Here's what we're going to compare. This is the old school HQ YOLO prop. 1.2 inches in diameter, 1.1 inches of pitch, 3-blade. I'm going to fly a battery on these props, and then I'm going to move these to the less pitchy version of these propellers. These are 1.1 pitch. These are 0.9 pitch. That's the first comparison that we're going to do. We're going to do this first comparison on 260 mAh batteries because this is the lowest power setup that I've got. Cool. Two 260s, freshly charged. Away we go. I'm not going to run these batteries all the way down. I'm going to run like a minute and a half of these batteries because we're out of time. Away we go! Maybe I'll run the battery all the way down. I'll just fly really hard. I'm just going to fly really hard to run these batteries down as quick as possible. These 260s. I'm actually going to run two... yeah. We'll see. So this is with the more pitchy propellers. What I want you guys to keep an eye on is the runtime. I want you to also look at the amps. The amps on the bottom right there. Oh, for God's sakes. I'm going to do a full throttle blast here. Once Teddy backs off. I'm going to do a full throttle blast for you to look at the amps. Check the... I almost... Oh, wow. If Florence was 1 second earlier down the stairs, she would have caught a tiny whoop to the face. Hopefully you guys saw what those amps were. I'm going to do that again. This is the higher pitch prop. This should pull more amps. I'm super curious what you guys saw. I was not looking. I was just trying to not kill anyone. Ooh, that was a little awkward there. I put this here because this represents the highest point, and I want to get better at doing that. This move where I go into... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. He's nipping. Oh, shit, he came charging. No, Teddy, you jerk. Oh, so much for that. We're getting a low battery warning. Hey, somebody say I will do it. I want somebody to drop the amps in the chat, the max amps that we're seeing, and the runtime when we get to like 3.5 per cell at a dead hover. It's going to be hard. I'm going to run another battery real quick. That was quick. We blazed through that. No, that was 2 minutes. The problem is I'm going to fly different on each one of these batteries. Nope, I'm going to change the props. There's way too much inconsistency to do it. Yeah, I mean, these batteries are going to be inconsistent from one to the next, depending upon like how hard I've discharged each one of them. There's way too much inconsistency to really do this. But these make excellent power. The amp numbers are consistent. I'm going to do that same thing again. And maybe we'll see a difference in the amps. And I'm just going to talk to you guys about the what these feel like on these different props. So we just ran the more pitchy props. The power is awesome. 0 prop wash. I mean, the tune is going to pretty much eat. The tune is pretty dialed on this, so it's going to eat most of the prop wash anyway. But yeah, these differences are going to be subtle, but there will be small differences here. So we're going to go now to the 0.9 pitch version of these propellers. 15.4 amps, Levster says. Thank you, dude. And so we've got high right. So I need 2 high lefts. Where are you at, high left propellers? There's one. Come on. And oop, there's the other. I accidentally picked them both up. Cool. Good. Here we go. Swapping these over. Let's see how... I have not drilled these out with a 0.99 millimeter drill bit. Let's see how these fit on the BetaFPV 0702s. After I get some of these hairs out of the motor. There we go. Okay, so this rig is props out still. Well, these fit pretty good. You can maybe get away with not drilling out the 0.9 pitch props, but I pushed a little bit hard. I'm gonna do the simple twist while drilling it out method, not the pull it out dry and raw method. When you twist it the whole time, it removes a little bit less material than when you push it through and then yank it out without twisting. Now these need to be drilled. There's a chance that I drilled that first one out already and put it back into the bag because this one went on This one was significantly more difficult to push in there. So yeah, the first time you drill a propeller out, spin the drill bit the whole time. But then if you want to remove a little bit more material, get the prop down on the drill bit and then just pull it out without spinning it. And you'll see a little cloud of white that comes out. That's the plastic that's being removed. Obviously, but I'm actually going to do it twice on this one. And now this should be perfect. Yeah, it's still kind of tight. I could have done it once or twice more. Yeah, I absolutely could have done it another couple times. So yeah, the HQ. I think this is now all of the HQ props need to be drilled out a little bit on the BetaFPV 0702 motors. If you want your motors to last as long as possible. If you don't care about direct soldering and replacing these motors, then you do you. But if you keep pushing motors on really hard, you will wreck. I'm sorry, if you keep pushing propellers on really hard to motors, you will wreck the motors, guaranteed. It's not an if, it's a when. All right, so I ran that one down 3 times. Let's see how it is. We're going props out. That's perfect. Okay. Once more. 1, 2. Once you've done a bunch of props, you'll feel it. You'll feel how hard it is to pull it off of the drill bit when you're not spinning it, and you'll know exactly how much material that you've removed or haven't removed. All right, now we're on the 0.9 props. These are a little bit lighter, and they're going to be a little bit slower because they've got less pitch. But it might not. I mean, it had an awful lot of power a minute ago. Usually, nowadays, we've got plenty of power. Hey. And so these lower pitch props tend to perform really well. When I went upstairs last time, it was at 3.8 volts at a hover. It's almost there. Yeah, we're there. All right, let's see. Check for those amps for me. I'll do 2 big runs. Ooh, I almost hit the ceiling. That was a half a run. Let's do it better here. Ooh, I got lucky there. So that should be a little bit less. If it's not less on the amp reading, it's because... Ooh! Not good, bro. Oh, that was a bad one. Okay, well, that was a nasty hit. I'm so used to crash recovery fixing it when I hit stuff that I will give like a nice solid throttle blip just at the right time. And the reason why that was such a bad crash is that I gave it that throttle blip when it was completely inverted. Yeah, so if the amps that you saw in the OSD weren't significantly different, it kind of doesn't matter. These are different batteries. These are different. You know, the initial voltage that I went up there with was, oh yeah, buddy, was slightly different. So this still has plenty of power. It might have a little bit better. Okay, so it feels more responsive. And that is a big deal. That helps, as you can see, quite a bit when you're trying to do all this really technical shit. I like these propellers better. I like these propellers better. 3.47, 3.4. Yeah, I'm landing it roughly the same amount of time. But when I had that big crash, it reset the flight timer, so I don't know the flight time difference between the two. But what I'm pretty sure I could feel is quicker response time with these propellers. That is because these are lighter, physically lighter, but also it's because they're less pitchy. The less pitch will allow it to spin up and down quicker because it's making a little bit less thrust. Right? Like, think of pitch in extremes. If a really pitchy propeller is like this, imagine it pushing all that air. It's going to be really hard to push that air. Less pitch, it's going to just skirt through the air more easily. And so, yeah, the difference between these props that I'm pretty sure I could feel was that quickness, that sharpness that you got. It's felt fine on the more pitchy propellers, but boy, it feels good on these 0.9s. Now we're going to test something super interesting over here on the Champion Edition. We're going to test the biblades versus these triblades. Here's why this is a super weird test, is that these biblades claim to be 1.2 pitch. Pitch is a measure of the distance a propeller travels after one rotation. So in order for a biblade propeller to be more pitchy than a triblade means that the biblade is going to look like this and the triblade is going to look like this. But when you look at these two propellers cross-sectionally, I don't think you're going to see that. Let's take a quick look, though. For a biblade to have 1.2 pitch and a tri to have 0.9 pitch, it would need to be drastic. It would really need to be a drastic difference. Let's see if we can see it. I think that they're just not measuring the pitch properly. But I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again. Biblade on the left, triblade on the right. What if I put them on top of each other? That's probably a better bet, isn't it? Oh, God, I can't believe I got that the first try. Maybe. Let's grab a biblade that's the same directionality. What do I want? High right side? Yeah, here we go. Somebody in the chat mentioned there's a scoop in the twist. Yeah, so that's where this kind of falls apart too, is that, like, pitch is not just a measure of the angle of attack. It's how far the propeller moves forward. And so, like, the blade profile has a lot to do with it. And like, you can't always see the differences in the blade profile. Oh my God, you are such a piece of shit, camera. But the angle of attack of the blade has the most to do with it. It has the biggest impact. I'm gonna fucking smash this thing. Did I just full-blown delete the Logitech app? I did. I do have this other app, though, that Frank Nicholas suggested that works a lot better. All right, let's see. All right, so that's manually focused as near as I can. Looks pretty goddamn similar, right? Like, for a bi-blade to be more pitchy, you would think it would be a massive change. Right? I don't know, man. Maybe it is more. I think I maybe see more angle there. Maybe not. It's so hard to tell. Let me do this. Let me just bump this propeller just a little bit like that. Try to get this right in between. It's hard because of the way that the propeller blade kind of like bends down. Like it... I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe I'll be able to tell when I'm flying them. Probably not, but let's give it a try. Uriel says, smoke it with low RPM. What does that mean? All right, so we're going to try 300 mAh batteries at this point because this is on the 30,000 kV motors. And I don't have enough 250s charged. 260s, rather. 260s, sorry. Also, we are about to fly a rig on the lightweight whip antenna. So what we were just flying is the regular old whip antenna with the ground plane. Now we're going to a lighter weight but shittier performing, should be shittier performing antenna, both on 25 milliwatts. Both on 25 million watts. Technology has come a far way to now have 25 million watts on a tiny whoop. So again, this is on the bi-blades right now. These are the lightest. So from a weight... This rig goes full rainbow an awful lot. I would love to know what the deal is with these BetaFPV Air AIOs that makes the VTXs do that as often as they do. This is kind of why I don't really recommend these. This is one of the reasons I don't recommend these AIOs. So this is the lightest weight propeller, but in theory, this is the most pitchy. And so the pitch is going to make it harder to turn, but the lightweight is going to make it... Oh, for fuck's sake. The lightweight is going to make it physically easier to speed up and slow down. Oh, fuck, it's going in the dog bowl, isn't it? That might be it in the dog bowl. God damn it. I kept going because it didn't look like it was next to the dog bowl, and it was not. Oh my god, YouTube crashed. What the fuck, man? Why are all the problems happening all at once? God damn it. Why is it so difficult to live stream? Like, why is all of the technology surrounding live streaming such dog shit? What year is this? My god, man. This thing is really going rainbow mode frequently. I like these HQ biblades a lot. They have that magic that the GemFan 1210s have. Oh, farts. So keep an eye on the video quality. This antenna sucks. There's another full throttle blast for you. We'll do that again on the other propellers. Now let's just fly. Oh, for farts. For fart's sake. Ooh, there's a little gap under that thing. Let's see if I can get that lined up. Oh, got it. Uh-oh. That's that move I was trying the other night and I couldn't get. That's one of the new ones that I really dig. Hey! Uh-oh. Oh, it fell all the way downstairs. Yeah, it's just a big front flip. But timed just right to mirror the slope of the roof. You're like skating backwards down there. Isn't that cool looking? Oh, God! It's a big hit. Oh my God, why can't I do it all of a sudden? I can do it after like a gnarly front flip, but then just to sit it up here and do it, I cannot get it. Oh, that's gnarly. Oh boy, am I gonna be able to get out of here? Oh shit, I think I'm going back upstairs because this shaggy rug has eaten this thing. Farts! Oh no. I wouldn't. Oh, and he got shit on the lens. He just pokes his little nose in and fucks up the camera. Okay. That shag rug is lava for these 65mm rigs. All right, let's wipe the dog's spit off the lens. I didn't think I would get all obsessed about flying. I kind of did it. Oh no. What's happening? Who's angry? Motor 1 is upset with the world. Why are you upset with the world, little buddy? Is it this hair that's wrapped around you? Nope. No, it's fine. It might have been this hair. Oh, yeah, it is this hair wrapped around it. Hold on. Get out of there. Oh, that's an aggressive hair. I think I got enough of it. Ooh! Ah! 3.47 at a hover. Good spot to come in and land. Minute 57. Did anybody catch the amps? 14.6. Why is it lower? That's weird. Could be any number of things. Let's switch these props out. Could you guys tell a difference in the antennas? I certainly could. When I go all the way upstairs into the loft area, these shitty antennas are the whip antennas with the ground plane removed. That's what I call a shitty antenna. They are noticeably worse. I really notice it outside. If you fly one of the ultralight antennas outside, oh boy, you absolutely will notice the difference. But like inside the house, it's not too bad. If you're not going 3 floors up, and I don't go up there very often, you know. So like for me, for this house, for how I fly, The shitty antenna, the lightweight antenna, I should be calling it, is actually kind of fine. Let's do Smoke Crotch Gray, I think. Do I have a full set? I do indeed. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're going to the 0.9 pitch propellers here. Let's see how they fit on the Champion Edition motors. This thing is also props in. I need to remember that. There's hair wrapped around this motor shaft here. Let's get rid of that first. And not bad. Okay. That one absolutely did not need to be drilled out. Let's try another one, though. While I have the prop off, let me get this hair the rest of the way out of here. Usually hair is not an issue with these Outrunner style motors, but every once in a while you can get one that's wrapped exactly wrong and it can become an issue. Let's try another non-drilled out prop. It's fine. I might have drilled these props out. Sometimes I'll drill these props out and then put them back in the bags. So don't quote me, but 2 in a row, those were completely fine. I wish I could, like, see. This one I did not drill out, and this one I had to push too hard on. Or there's inconsistencies prop to prop, but I bet you I drilled those first 2 props out already. No big deal. And I'll be able to feel it. Yep, this one's not drilled out. For sure it's not drilled out. So there's 1 pull. And there's 2. Should be enough. Let's check it. I should have done it one more time. Last prop. This one has not been drilled out. I can feel it. Hit it twice. And away we go. HQ 1.2 by 0.9. That one's actually perfect. On another 300 mAh battery. I don't think this is the one that I just pulled out of there. Let's find out. 4.23, we're good. All right, so we're going from the biblades to the triblades. The biblades are lighter weight, but in theory, more pitchy. But there's a bigger difference. Biblades, when you're off throttle, are going to slide more, which I actually really like. These all the racers run these triblades because they have more grip. More grip is not necessarily what you want for freestyle. It makes hitting gaps a little bit easier. Teddy. Look at the little dance he did. Ooh, he touched it. Yeah, more grip is not necessarily a good thing for freestyle. Especially if you're trying to do stuff like that where you're off the throttle for the maximum amount of time possible. Hey. Oh my god, I can't believe I caught that railing. That was so silly. Why won't it go over? Throw. Oh, Teddy was rampaging. Oh man, he's going after it. Look at him. He's protecting the family. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He got me trapped. I'm trapped. I'm supposed to be talking about what these fly like. Same thing on the other rig. They feel great. I can feel the biblade versus triblade thing. The biblades are looser. The triblades have more grip. When I'm down here hitting these like super technical things, the grip helps, but it's not all about like hitting all the gaps. It's about having fun. And I feel like that for me, the biblades are more fun. Because you can really just hurl it. See how that kind of like slowed down? It didn't like... there's still enough... I don't know. It's a feel thing. You should get them both. And try them yourself. Oh my god, I went through the side. That was pretty cool. .52 at a hover. Not enough. Let's keep going. Hey. There we go. That should be enough to bring it all the way down. 3.47. That's what I saw on the previous battery. So there's 3 minutes of runtime. This battery might be healthier. And I spent less time kind of crashing and letting it just sit and pound on the VTX. So again, it's a hard comparison. I think you guys should have seen, though, that the this antenna does not work as well upstairs. Which is, you know, go figure. You remove an important part of the antenna and it doesn't work as well. We're not breaking ground here with that. Last comparison is between 27,000 kV and 37,000 kV and 30,000 kV, but I want to get these into Betaflight real quick. We've been comparing individual rigs. Now that they're on the same props, we can compare them, and it's important when you're comparing one rig to the next to make sure as many things as possible are set up the same between them. And so let's come into Betaflight real quick and just check it. So we've got the Champion Edition first with the 30,000 kV motors. I should have clicked on Betaflight 20 minutes ago to give it a chance to open, but I forgot. Yeah, not bad. I feel like Betaflight opens faster when you have a something plugged into it. All right, CLI, we're going to type status to see what gyro it's on. ICM 42688. All right, good. I'm pretty sure the other one's on that gyro as well. PID tuning, just out of curiosity, where is this thing at? I custom tuned this. I took this off of their PIDs. Yeah. Let me do this. I'm going to plug the other one in, and we're going to copy the PIDs off of it because I spent all that time the other night tuning it. And so this is the race edition that I've just plugged in here. What is this propeller? Oh, yeah, this goes in here. Hold on a second. Let me just get this straightened out real quick. Hang on. Make sure I put the right propeller in the right bag. Ah, I almost put the wrong one in the wrong bag. Okay, 0.9. There we go with that. And then these are all the biblades. Okay, and then these are all of the 1.1 pitch. All right, now we're good to go. So quickest way of doing this is actually just to take a screenshot, and it looks pretty damn close. I think the PIDs are actually the same between them. Rates are the same other than throttle expo, so let's actually just turn the throttle expo off for the time being because I have changed the propellers and I'm not going to be dialing that in. And then let's take another screenshot of this. And right, disconnect that. And then we're going to set this other one up to be identical. Okay. Connect, PIDs. Here we go. So 1.4, 1.1, 0.15. I actually have the feed forward all the way zeroed out. Dynamic damping down to 1.0. These are very subtle changes. 0.8, great. Wow, oh, there's a shitload of extra pitch damping that I've got on this thing. That's interesting. I wonder why I had that pushed up so far. We're going to bring it down. And then the master multiplier is up at 1.25. What is this tune? Why do I have that? That's interesting. Whatever. We'll just even them out. It'll be fine. VBAT sag, thrust linear, 10, okay. That's all. Oh, man. VBAT sag and thrust linearization are turned off on the other rig. I'm going to turn those on. Why are they turned off? That's weird. 30 and 30. Jitter reduction. All right. Yeah, I'm going to turn those on the other rig. Let's turn the throttle expo off. And then filter settings, 2.0. Great. Move this up to 1.2. And then 1 at 100, not 120. Dynamic notch, 1, 500, 120, 500. I have this all the way up on 800. Move this down. Screw it. Okay. Now they're matched up, although on the other one I want to turn VBAT sag and thrust linearization on. Very weird that those are turned off. Pid tuning. VBAT sag. Thrust linear. I only like to run thrust linear down at 10. Thrust linearization just gives the PIDs a little bit more authority down at 0 throttle. All right, cool. So now the main thing in the... you bastard. Come on. Come on, hurry up. C. Joe with a $4.99 super chat. He says, sorry I haven't given lately. The Bentley needs $800. An $800 fuel pump. Thank you for the support, my friend. Euro says, check your lava lamp. It's doing subtle lava things. Levster says, how can a motor make less RPM but make more power? How is the RPM... How is not the RPM the power or KV? You can make more RPM with a less pitchy propeller. That's one of the ways. There we go. That's the main way. The main way is the pitch of the propeller. Okay, 2 more 300 mAh batteries, and then we're out of here. But there's other things. Well, no, if you're just talking about RPM and power production, yeah, that's really the only way, is for the pitch or the number of blades to change on the propeller. It shouldn't be number of blades related, though. It should just be pitch related, because the pitch, again, is just the distance that a propeller will travel after one rotation. So the number of blades has to do with that, right? But if you compare a 2-blade to a 3-blade, like we were a minute ago, if the 2-blade is stamped and claims to have a higher pitch, it should have significantly more angle of attack, because that's, or a much better blade profile, right? That's the only way that 2 blades will travel further forward than 3. So this is 30,000 kV. I'm gonna go straight upstairs and do a full stank pass. Oh boy, this thing is railing. It's as good as I can do right there. Let me disarm it so that we can get a maximum RPM there. Oh god, oh god. Wow, it is hard to fly this without that thrust Expo, Throttle Expo. 62,000. That should be the maximum RPM that we're going to see today. These are the least pitchy props. You know, that I've totally forgot about that we have that RPM measurement. That's another way that I should have compared these propellers. If somebody can go back, if somebody watching this not live can go back, or if somebody that's just super motivated to know the difference, every time I disarm after those full blast pulls, there'll be an RPM number. That's one way that we can kind of myth bust. Maybe we'll do that in the future. That's a way to myth bust these biblades claiming to be a higher pitch. If the biblade should, since they're more pitchy, they should not be able to turn as high of an RPM. Where that kind of falls apart, though, is that biblades inherently are more efficient because the tips of each blade are farther apart. And so even though it's a higher pitch, it could potentially hit a higher RPM from the extra efficiency of only having two blades. I can't believe the difference with no Throttle Expo. There's our first low battery warning. Let's see where it's at a dead hover. 3.57. We can go farther. So this is the Champion Edition, 30,000 kV, tons of power. Tons of power. Feels great. Hate the way it feels with no Throttle Expo. That's why my elevation is kind of bouncing all over the place. Oh boy. Whew, man, 30,000 kV on these BetaFPV motors is a lot of power. Ah! Oh! Oh! I didn't think I was going to catch it. .5 at a hover. I think the camera is has been twisted. It sure has. Yeah, look how uneven that main beam is. I really need to get these cameras leveled and then E6000. 3 minutes and 2 seconds. That maximum ESC RPM there is just ever since the last disarm. Now we're gonna run 27,000s. Plug it directly in. And that was the shitty antenna. Now we're going back to the good antenna. Here we go. Hey. This is the Air65 race now. There we go. Full throttle rip. This battery looks like it's at a lower voltage already, though, so we're probably going to see less amps and less RPM. Let's take a look at the RPM. Yeah, 59,000. But, I mean, these are a significantly lower KV motor, so that does make sense. But, could be battery related. I gotta be honest, these make plenty of power. I can definitely tell a little bit of a difference, but, like, I don't necessarily miss that extra power. And as I've said a million times, more power makes these things harder to fly. It's really fun, and sometimes there are moves that you won't be able to do with the lower power setup, but oh, suck it, Trebek! God, I love it. Oy! Oh no! Don't get eaten by the sim rig. It's getting eaten by the home theater instead. Ooh, I forgot to stop it from traveling across the room. Oh god, don't kill me. Where are we at a hover? 3.48, 3.49. Okay, so this battery is much worse. Look at the runtime. I think I also knocked this camera out of whack too. Yeah, this battery is much worse than the one I was just flying. Yeah, a little bit. That beam is a little bit crooked. Yeah, this battery sucks. That's not a fair comparison. I have one more battery. Let me run it real quick. Maybe this other battery this last battery I have is a little bit better. Real quick, this is the last thing we're doing. Go get you some Mads Tech friends. Tell them I say hello. I gotta roll after this. Pito says, isn't number of blades irrelevant for the distance traveled and only the blade profile is influencing this? It should be, but I have a feeling that these prop manufacturers are not calculating the pitch correctly. I could absolutely be wrong, but that's just my guess. All right, big rip. One more. Oh my god. All right, let's see what RPM we got. 58,000, so it's still less than 60. So yeah, these that tracks. These motors are, we'll see how long this battery lasts, but oh, I didn't think I would catch the corner there. That hurt. These motors are going to turn less RPM because they are a lower kV. I did most of that battery upstairs. Now I'm going to do a bunch of work down here. Ah, that was sloppy. That was close. I was willing it to fall into the cube, but unfortunately that wasn't enough. I was trying to do something there. Ah! Stop it. Oh, no. I could be able to get that out of there. I have to stand up. Lefster says, yes, I know what you say. I get this part, but on the same props. I'm lost. What are we talking about? I'm trying to do too many things at once. My brain is shitting the bed. Lefster earlier said, how can a motor make less RPM but make more power? How is not the RPM power of KV? And then he says, yes, I know what you say. I get this part, but on these same props. I think the answer to the question is it's a battery problem. These batteries are at different rates of decay, basically. Oh, God. I think that's the answer. Admittedly, my brain is having trouble keeping track of what I already talked about, what you're asking, and flying some of the most powerful tiny whoops that we've got in a very challenging spot all at the same time. I apologize, brother. This battery sucks too. All right, so that first battery that we put through the Champion Edition was a much fresher battery than these two. That sucks. That completely destroys the comparison. But I think the main point of the comparison is one of the main things to come out of this is, again, more power is not. It's not better. There's not a better or a worse. I don't have turtle mode on my arm switch. Turtle mode is a separate switch. Yeah, more power is not necessarily better. It's just different. If you are trying to do moves that require a big-ass hit of power than what your current motors have, maybe more powerful motors will be a good thing for you. But you have to understand that the more powerful motors are going to be harder. They're going to be harder to fly. You're going to lose throttle resolution because the throttle lever is not going to go farther for the more powerful motors, right? And so, yeah, like as I've always said, your best bet is to try to find the least powerful setup possible because that's going to give you the most possible throttle resolution. That is still absolutely the case. What I think your best bet is to get motors that are too high of a kV and then motor limit it down, right? I don't think that you should do that exercise with physical motors. Technically, it's best to do it with physical motors because if you can run a motor at 100%, you're getting the maximum number of stair steps to the throttle, as we talked about earlier. But boy, is that splitting hairs. And so, to me, if they start selling the Champion Edition again with the 30,000 kV motors, this is the one that you should get. And then you motor limit it down if it's a little bit too much, and you're good to go. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the Air65 race. This makes plenty of power with the 27,000 kV motors, and this is currently being sold. This is absolutely one of the best bind and flies that's currently being made, and I think this is my favorite bind and fly for someone that doesn't want to do any upgrades. If you want to buy it and fly it and just have a great time, this is arguably the best possible option. Get your camera leveled out and then put a couple of little dots at E6000 because the camera will continue to twist when you crash, which is just awful. If you do want to do upgrades, I actually prefer the Mobula 6 2024, mainly because it has motor plugs, but it's also got the same camera connector as the Runcam Nano 3, so you can do a little Mobula 6 old school canopy setup with it for extra durability. But, you know, to each his or her own. The camera that comes with that thing, the FXT camera, is not as good as the CO3 camera. But, I mean, they're both analog, so they both suck anyway. But, yeah. There you go, my friends. Levster says, it's okay. Just was curious. Isn't that important? Fabian says, what do you think about the Meteor 7504 for $200? Is it worth it to own one? If it's 1S, then it's not worth it. If it's 2S, which I'm pretty sure it isn't, it's probably really good. But I think it's 1S, and 1S with the 04 system is going to be a mess. It's basically just going to be a little Cinewhoop, and that's not the way that most people want to fly. If you're looking at doing gig work or like subject-driven flying, then it's maybe okay, but you're not. And so you're wanting to fly freestyle more than likely, and it's not that. You know, imagine flying a Cinewhoop freestyle. It's not fun, right? It's underpowered. It's not fun. And that's the exact experience that you're going to get from 1S with the 04 system. So I would not do it. 2S is the way with all these digital systems. This Air65 held up to... No, it didn't. It broke. I was going to say, man, I broke a lot of these Air65 frames when they first came out, but all of a sudden they're actually holding up. Nope, this one broke. Cockroach 65 V3 frame, much better frame option for 65mm whoops. The Smoke Crotch Gray Air 65 frame on this Champion Edition, it has held up. Maybe I just haven't crashed it as hard. But yeah, the Cockroach 65 V3 frame is miles better. And then if you want to save some weight, the Cockroach Light AF frame is lighter than this Air 65 frame, but it's about the same durability. So if you crash really, really, really hard, you're gonna break it, like what you saw today. Every single, if you want to see exactly how long a brand new Air65 frame lasts, go to Friday's live stream. That was the very first time I flew this. You can watch every single crash, and then today's live stream. You can watch every single crash that it took to break an Air65 frame. I think I'm maybe 6 or 7 batteries into it. That's not enough. That's not enough batteries. I did have some pretty gnarly crashes, in fairness, but the Cockroach 65 V3 frame would just be getting warmed up after the crashes that we just had here. And so, yeah, it is my favorite frame. Could you guys see a difference between the lightweight antenna on the Champion Edition and the standard whip antenna on this? That's absolutely hysterical that it was broke. I wonder when it broke. It was fine, okay with it being broken. It broke in a spot that I can't really repair it with the cool little shrink wrap method. So I'm gonna have to replace that frame. That's kind of annoying. That's the game sometimes, though. Thanks for hanging, friends. CiottiFPV with the last comment of the live stream. He says, "Is it possible to convert XT30 2S battery into BT 3.0 to save weight? Can't get any light BT 3.0 2S batteries in the UK." XT30. Yes, there is a way to do it. You have to find the right balance lead. I actually don't know how to do it. Go to CiottiFPV.com is the website where you guys can support me. It's the only way that I'm able to do this as often and as good as I do it. There's a link to my Discord over there. Follow that link. Go to the Discord. Ask that question in general chat. Someone will post a link to the way that the balance leads are set up, and you'll be good to go. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll see you tomorrow night. Hey, go to CiottiFPV.com and join my Patreon on the $5 or up tiers, and you'll be entered to win in tomorrow night's giveaway. Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, is a giveaway live stream, February giveaways. I'll see you there. 10 o'clock Eastern time. Love you, bye. Here's another battery on a 5-inch rig from, I forgot to mention, flying at Bardwell's at the beginning of the stream was back in 2022 when we did the blind motor testing. Here's some more of me ripping around his spot with the glide. Love you, bye!